The enigmatic quests of the Nazi regime during the 1930s and 40s have intrigued historians for decades. Within this aura of mystery lies Hitler's fascination with the Himalayas, driven by a desire to uncover hidden ancient wisdom and power. Central to these Himalayan missions was the belief in the existence of a powerful Aryan race, supposedly originating from some mystical regions. This mythology was deeply woven into the fascist ideology, aiming to justify racial supremacy and expansionist policies. The Ahnenerbe, an institute founded by Heinrich Himmler, orchestrated expeditions to the Himalayas with the objective of discovering ancient texts and relics believed to bolster Nazi ideology. These expeditions were both scientific and esoteric in nature. Reports suggest that between 1938 and 1939, a Nazi expedition led by Ernst Schaefer traveled extensively through Tibet, collecting data and artifacts. The primary goal was to search for evidence of Aryan roots and ancient sources of knowledge. This voyage into the heart of the Himalayas was more than an archaeological mission. It was imbued with mysticism. Explorers sought the mythical Shangri-La, a utopian symbol rumored to hold secrets of longevity, power, and lost civilizations. Hitler's obsession wasn't isolated. It reflected a broader European fascination with the Orient, propelled by romantic notions of Eastern mysteries. The Nazis aimed to harness these perceived energies and knowledge for their ideological and military agenda. The intrigue surrounding Nazi endeavors in the Himalayas wasn't purely based on cultural curiosity. It intertwined with pseudo-scientific theories seeking biological and spiritual betterment of the Aryan race. Such quests blurred the line between myth and science. While much of these expeditions' results remained shrouded in secrecy, they undeniably contributed to the mystique of the Third Reich. The collected data purportedly included anthropological measurements, geographical surveys, and cultural studies of local Tibetan communities. Post-war investigations revealed fragments of the Nazi quest, though many files were lost or hidden deliberately. These mysteries fuel an ever-growing fascination and countless theories about what the Nazis hoped or found in those remote regions. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence, these Himalayan endeavors symbolize the intersection of political purpose and esoteric allure in Nazi strategy. The allure of lost knowledge and power kept these missions alive within the imaginations of Nazi elites. Peeling back layers of mythology around these quests, scholars aim to distinguish between documented fact and speculative fiction. This exercise highlights the darker aspects of nationalism intertwining with mythology to assert control over both reality and memory. These historical narratives emphasize the potential manipulation of cultural heritage by those seeking power. The Himalayas, rich with meaning, became a stage for projecting Nazi imaginations, reflecting the dangers when ideology exploits myth to further oppressive agendas. Today, inquiry into these narratives is fueled by a need to understand the allure of spiritual landscapes in constructing nationalist ideologies. It's a study in how history can be misused when collective myth becomes a tool for domination. The legacy of these quests serves as a conduit for broader discussions about historical authenticity and cultural appropriation. They remind us to approach historical records with a discerning eye, aware of biases both ancient and modern. As we continue to explore the impact of Nazi expeditions in the Himalayas, these stories emphasize the necessity of preserving cultural integrity, countering distortions that align too closely with agendas of control, and advocating for genuine historical understanding. Ultimately, the Nazi obsession with Himalayan secrets illustrates the perilous intersection of myth and reality. It challenges us to remember history's lessons, not to repeat the past's mistakes, but to build a future grounded in truth and respect. Even today, the concept of an ancient reservoir of wisdom hidden in the Himalayas sparks intrigue among historians and occult enthusiasts alike. It's a tale of ambition, interwoven with legends about the secret past of humanity itself. As scholars continue to uncover layers of this clandestine history, the Nazi interest in the Himalayas remains a potent reminder of how ideology can intertwine with pseudoscience, driving men to seek power in the folds of myth and reality. The Himmler-directed Ahnenerbe became emblematic of this multidisciplinary quest, where anthropology melded with the search for mythological truths. It sought to redefine history, presenting biased narratives that underpinned Hitler's grand vision of a global order. Historians argue whether these expeditions were genuine scientific enterprises or mere propaganda tools. Nevertheless, their legacy lingers, reflecting the dangerous allure of merging esotericism with political ambition, a path fraught with perilous misconceptions. Ultimately, Hitler's search in the Himalayas remains a tapestry of historical enigma and esoteric ambition. It serves as a cautionary tale of how ideology can warp scientific inquiries into quests for mythical supremacy and reignite enigmatic pursuits across eras. The Nazi pursuit of the occult in the Himalayas branched into various fields. Some researchers were tasked with examining ancient Buddhist texts for hints of weapons or wisdom that could aid in the Nazi war effort. This search was meticulous and secretive. Although evidence of tangible financial gain from these texts is lacking, the Nazis believed in a mystical energy they could harness. Such endeavors reflected their conviction in cosmic energies and esoteric sciences, hoping to manipulate these for global control. Multiple Nazi leaders, including Hitler, were fascinated by astrology and mythology. They believed the Himalayas harbored not only ancient wisdom but also vital connections to otherworldly dimensions, offering them insights into divine power structures influencing our earthly realm. This ideological blend of myth and mysticism made Nazi quests into occult places not merely exploratory, but near-religious missions. Their objectives were clear: uncover secrets that could help perfect the Aryan race, aligning it with mythical paradigms. Even within the Nazi regime, skepticism existed about these occult pursuits. Some officials questioned the resources spent on such ambiguous goals. Yet, the influence of occult believers like Himmler ensured the continuation of these controversial missions. Amidst this backdrop, the Tibetan expeditions expanded into intricate studies of linguistics, anthropology, and flora. These studies were peppered with pseudoscientific elements that sought to connect local myths to Nazi ideals of racial purity. Upon returning from the Himalayas, Nazi researchers brought back artifacts and curious reports. Yet definitive evidence of spiritually powerful elements remained elusive. Historical accounts often cite these missions as examples of Nazi dogma overriding scientific skepticism. The artifacts and data gathered were scrutinized in secret facilities across Germany. Some claimed these items held mystical powers, while critics argued they were mere tourist trinkets exaggerated in importance to flag the expedition as successful. The allure of the Himalayas in Nazi lore transcended mere academic interest. These hills were seen as a direct link to the roots of mankind, potentially revealing hidden truths about human evolution and divine ancestry. After World War II, many secrets of Nazi research were seized by Allied forces. Some occult findings saw the light of day, contributing to our understanding of Nazi ideologies, while others vanished, lost to time, or deliberately destroyed. The enigma surrounding these countrified missions continues to inspire fiction and conspiracy theories. They serve as cautionary tales of how fanaticism can lead to the distortion of scientific pursuits, manifesting in extreme ideologies that falsely validate prejudice. Historians and archaeologists remain intrigued by unanswered questions surrounding the Nazi presence in the Himalayas. Even today, discussions on the topic elicit lively debates about the intersection of legend, belief, and empirical fact in shaping history. The legacy of these expeditions lingers as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by ideological extremism. It highlights the peril of obscuring rational inquiry with mythical fervor, showing how easily narratives of power can be constructed. For historians, these Nazi quests offer insight into the complex psyche of the Third Reich. They provide evidence of how the melding of ancient myth and modern science was employed to build a distorted vision of future dominance. Thus, the enigma of Hitler's search in the Himalayas endures, woven into the broader fabric of the Nazi occult. It illustrates a chilling interplay between reverence for ancient narratives and the horrifying aspirations of a tyrannical regime. As the shadows of war receded, the Nazi expeditions to the Himalayas took on an almost mythical status. They became symbolic of the intersection between occult quests and political ideology, reflecting a regime desperate for validation from arcane origins. The belief in Aryan descent from a superior ancient civilization was a cornerstone of Nazi pseudoscience. Tibetan myths and legends were twisted to fit a narrative that bolstered Nazi propaganda, redefining history to align with their grand nationalistic vision. Central to these quests was the search for Shambhala, a mythical kingdom said to possess advanced knowledge and power. Hitler hoped such mystical realms harbored secrets that could secure his regime's dominance and fulfill his apocalyptic worldview. The idea of Shambhala inspired a myriad of Nazi journeys. Believed to be situated in an untouched Himalayan valley, it was said to hold profound wisdom that would reveal the next phase of human evolution, idealized by Nazi philosophy. These expeditions were not simply quests for lost realms, but an attempt to embed Nazi ideology in historical myths. For Hitler, gaining favor with what he saw as ancient forces of creation was imperative to legitimizing his brutality. Local guides and scholars were often coerced into aiding these German teams. Their knowledge of regional lore was at times rewritten or discarded to further Nazi objectives, casting a long shadow over authentic cultural narratives of the region. The racial doctrines promoted by the Nazis found pseudo-scientific backing in these expeditions. By attempting to trace a pure lineage to mythical beings, the Nazis sought to ground their discriminatory practices in newly fabricated histories and distorted truths. In many ways, these occult expeditions reflected the era's broader clash between science and myth. The desire to merge mystical beliefs with empirical validation underpinned the Nazi agenda, warping academic inquiry into a tool for ideological subjugation. Despite resources channeled into these obsessive quests, tangible achievements were negligible. However, the esoteric narratives they generated captivated both Nazi officials and future generations, embedding themselves in the annals of historical mysteries and speculative fiction. During contemporary times, the significance of these missions is often debated. While some view them as quixotic adventures, others see them as pivotal moments where ideology empowered delusions, reinforcing dangerous myths of racial and cultural superiority. Efforts to demystify these tales have been challenging, as much of the primary evidence remains lost or intentionally obscured. The Nazi legacy in the Himalayas continues to fuel both academic discourse and an array of conspiracy theories. This exploration into the Nazi occult represents the eternal human quest for origins and destiny. It highlights our fascination with forbidden knowledge, often leading to its exploitation by those who seek power through uncharted psychological and philosophical terrain. Today, scholars continue to dissect these events to understand better how myth and political ideology can dangerously intertwine. The ongoing research serves as a testament to ensuring history remains a reflection of truth rather than manipulated narratives. Through art, literature, and film, these themes of the Nazi occult have proliferated, illuminating the darker side of human ambition. They emphasize the need to challenge narratives that distort reality, advocating for a more scientifically informed worldview. Thus, the Nazi quests in the Himalayas, brimming with intrigue and misinterpretation, form a compelling chapter in the annals of history. They remind us always to question the narratives laid before us, seeking truth through the lens of reason. Delving deeper into the Nazi occult ideology reveals multifaceted motivations behind their Himalayan ventures. At the forefront was the ancient belief in connecting with powerful spiritual energies, considered crucial for ushering in what was seen as a prophesied new era. The Nazis' fascination extended to the supposed psychic abilities of Tibetan monks, whom they believed could communicate with supernatural realms. Such notions steered expeditions toward seeking alliances with these spiritual leaders, aimed at enhancing Hitler's perceived divine authority. Scientific teams were often under pressure to substantiate these mystical claims. Laboratories in Germany became grounds for bizarre experiments trying to measure paranormal forces. This fervor underscored how science was warped to fit the regime's esoteric propaganda. Mythological landscapes of the Himalayas spurred Nazi imagination further, inspiring hopes of discovering artifacts that could confer invincibility or foresee future events. Despite these ambitious quests, their fruitfulness in gaining tangible occult advantages is still highly debatable. Yet within these accounts lies a profound understanding of human susceptibility to myths. The Nazis exploited these shared archetypes to rally support, cloaking their political goals in mystique and wonder. It revealed a dark chapter of exploiting collective imagination. Many aspects of Nazi missions in the Himalayas were marked by a paradoxical collision of advanced technology with primitive law. This duality fueled Nazi ambitions, misleadingly portraying Aryans as descendants of a technologically advanced ancient culture. These expedition stories have sparked diverse fictional adaptations, inspiring creators to explore alternate histories where the occult's power shapes world events. They captivate audiences by merging factual events with fantasy, crafting what-ifs grounded on historical mysteries. In exploring these narratives, the need for critical thinking emerges significantly. Understanding how these historical quests were crafted and employed equips modern society to identify and deconstruct similar ideologies that prey on myth and fear. The Himalayas, as the backdrop for this saga, remind us of their own stories beyond the Nazi narrative. They stand as symbols of mysticism and resilience, fostering cultural interchanges long before Nazi interests transgressed these ancient lands. Continued exploration of Nazi motives and methods remains paramount to safeguarding truths obscured by propaganda. As historians unearth more documents, they piece together events that emphasize the need for vigilance in preserving objectivity within narratives. Current studies investigate the cultural impact of these Nazi-centric myths on present-day beliefs about Tibet and the Himalayas. These studies reveal how shifting narratives can leave lasting imprints on global perceptions and understandings of place. As long as humanity searches for meaning beyond our physical world, tales like the Nazis' Himalayan quests will endure. They serve as salient reminders of how ambition can twist mythology into channels that justify control and oppression. Nazi expeditions, despite their failure to unearth mystical arsenals or allies, led to significant discourse on the intersections of belief and power. The histories they created, though fraught with distortions, continue to echo through the corridors of modern thought. Ultimately, these explorations into the Nazi fascination with the occult affirm the intrinsic value of perspective and seeking knowledge with humility. They illustrate the vital importance of questioning all narratives, searching for truths amid the tapestry of history. In this context, Hitler's Himalayan ambitions symbolize broader dangers inherent in the pursuit of mythical supremacy. They continue to invoke reflection on how powerful regimens can manipulate ideology, serving as a caution against the allure of unfounded certainties. As we delve further into the mysteries of the Nazi occult, it becomes clear the Himalayas symbolized more than a geographical conquest. For the Nazis, it was a philosophical expedition, seeking validation from a landscape steeped in mysticism and ancient lore. The Nazis perceived the Himalayas not just as mountains, but as the cradle of lost civilizations. They believed these lands concealed secrets to imbue their empire with unprecedented power, rooted in mythical Aryan ancestry, a poignant narrative shaping Nazi ideology. This intersection of myth and identity demonstrates how the Nazis sought to construct a narrative where science and spirituality justified their hegemony. The expedition's unique blend of quest and conquest continues to captivate and caution against unfounded myths. Within Nazi ranks, there was a spiritual urgency to reconnect with perceived ancestral roots. The Himalayas opened a portal to unity with the mythical past, promising revelations that could supposedly accelerate the transformation of humanity under Nazi stewardship. Artifacts and rituals unearthed or observed were filtered through the lens of Nazi doctrine, often distorting sacred cultural elements to affirm pre-existing beliefs about racial supremacy and destiny. The methodology of these missions was wrought with ethical breaches. In exploring forgotten vistas, Nazi teams recorded geographical and cultural data with dual purposes. Beyond contributing to academic knowledge, they aimed to solidify territorial claims and bolster the credibility of their historical narratives regarding Aryan origins. The legacy of these missions prompts reflection on how narratives are crafted. The complexities of the Nazi expedition serve as case studies in historical distortion, illustrating the tenuous line between exploration, exploitation, and the imposition of ideology onto history. Continuing interest in this Nazi chapter underscores a broader fascination with secrets of human heritage. The allure of hidden wisdom concealed in distant lands speaks to universal desires for meaning and belonging reflected in myths shared across cultures. Yet, in dissecting these quests, it is crucial to maintain discernment between historical reality and fictional embellishment. As this particular narrative is entangled in esotericism, separating facts from desires remains an essential task for contemporary historians. The Nazi pursuit of Himalayan myths prompts critical examination of how ideology influences interpretations of collective human experience. By recognizing these patterns, one can better understand the potent influence of narrative manipulation on societal beliefs. As researchers re-evaluate findings from these expeditions, they uncover factors that led Nazis to intertwine ambition with mysticism. These insights are vital in preventing future misappropriations of cultural and historical narratives by those seeking ideological supremacy. Far beyond the physical artifacts, the ideological relics left by the Nazis in the Himalayas invite examination of broader aspects of human belief. They challenge us to confront how mythos can be manipulated to perpetuate constructs of power and identity. Today, the echoes of these pursuits influence both cultural interpretations and academic discourses. Acknowledging this past aids in rebuilding and respecting indigenous narratives, emphasizing a respectful approach to learning from histories nearly lost or altered. The continuation of interdisciplinary research on Nazi excursions into the Himalayas fosters an understanding of different dimensions of human endeavors. It prompts recognition of our shared responsibility in ensuring that history remains an authentic, unbiased account of collective memory. In summary, the secrets of the Nazi occult in the Himalayas serve as a stark caution against intertwining myth with power-hungry ideologies. They highlight the enduring need for critical perspectives and ethical stewardship in unraveling our world's most mysterious histories. Amidst the snowy peaks and ancient monasteries of the Himalayas, Nazi expeditions sought more than just geographical insights. They searched for a metaphysical understanding that could be wielded to redefine racial destiny, secretly desiring to harness divine mysteries. Reports from these expeditions often reflect a mix of scientific inquiry and spiritual superstition. Whether measuring cranial shapes or decoding Tibetan scriptures, the focus was always on uncovering symbols and signs that affirmed Aryan superiority and historical grandeur. Expired as rumors and CT, the expeditions are subject of extensive analysis and inflexible documentation. Widely chronicled stories of secret societies, enchanted artifacts, and hidden rituals deepen our intrigue in this complex narrative of seeking ultimate power and purity. The Nazi fascination with ancient prophecies forms a substantial part of the narrative. They viewed Himalayan scriptures as repositories of unmet knowledge, harboring coded messages for predicting global transformations, which they hoped to align with their own destructive goals. This pursuit was not merely territorial but symbolic, representing a yearning to powerfully bridge civilizations with a burgeoning empire. The allure of an intertwined destiny between Aryans and the Himalayas echoes fears of a world shaped by manipulated myth. Underneath this narrative lies a complex relationship with tradition and modernity. The Nazis' obsession illustrates how ancient wisdom can be exploited to serve contemporary agendas, with the Himalayas serving both as a battleground of ideology and spiritual quest. Historians continuously analyze these accounts to reveal Nazi overreach into spiritual dominions. These ventures into mythological frontiers represent zealotry, aiming to anchor political control in the mythic origins these landscapes vividly exemplified to the German imagination. The narrative legacy of Nazi Tibetan expeditions raises ethical issues. It serves as a reminder of the instability of intertwining cultural inferiority complexes and enlightenment, showcasing the transformative potential of mythical histories when corrupted by oppressive ideologies. For scholars, these events delineate the necessity of maintaining objectivity in historical preservation. They urge the academic community to remain vigilant in sifting through propaganda to unearth factual evidence while respecting narratives steeped in culturally grounded folk memory. The strides made in decoding and interpreting these quests also shed light on the evolution of historiography itself. This exploration accentuates the criticality of integrating multidisciplinary approaches when corroborating intersecting themes of history, mythology, and esotericism. As the academic landscape continues to uncover transformative narratives from this era, we are reminded of history's fluidity. These Nazi Himalayan pursuits serve not only as cautionary tales, but also as valuable studies in understanding the power of mythology. Histories such as these teach the importance of narrative stewardship, ensuring that dominant ideologies do not overshadow and manipulate factual recounting of events. The ethical pursuit of truth becomes a self-affirming journey within societies, dismantling distorted legacies. Through diverse lenses, anthropological, archaeological, or philosophical, we continue to decode past endeavors with a critical eye, reframing the understood past while preparing future generations to discern the societal impacts of fictionalized grandeur, exemplified by Hitler's imaginary Himalayan ambitions. Ultimately, the Himalayas retain their mystique, standing as silent witnesses to humanity's enduring quest for understanding. Through millennia, they have inspired effectively metaphorical and literal quests alike, reflective of both the light and shadow of human aspiration. Thus, Nazi folklore and historical pursuit transcend reality and fiction, illustrating a disciplined reminder of the fragility and potency of narrative. It exemplifies enduring lessons, how we frame our past shapes both our present understanding and future vision. In the shadowy pursuits of the Nazi regime, the Himalayas represented an untapped reservoir of mystical power and hidden knowledge. Hitler's fixation on these lofty peaks went beyond mere conquest, delving into a quest for arcane superiority. Within these mountains, the Nazi ideology sought affirmation and echoes of an imagined Aryan heritage. This obsession was rooted in a carefully constructed narrative that promised discovery of magical elements capable of reshaping their contemporary geopolitical landscape. Central to this obsession was the Tibetan Book of the Dead and other esoteric texts. The Nazis believed these works held cosmic secrets, anticipating that deciphering them would unlock portals to untold power and enlightenment exclusively for their purposes. In exploring these legendary texts, Nazi expeditions engaged with Tibetan lamas, seeking initiatory rites that were believed to awaken latent Aryan energies. Such interactions underscored a desperation to legitimize their racial narratives through borrowed spiritual authenticity. The allure of the Himalayas extended beyond immediate political gains. It symbolized a timeless journey for ultimate knowledge, where myth and reality blurred deliberately, offering a narrative rich in cultural appropriation and pseudo-historical significance. As researchers today revisit these missions, they reveal an eclectic mix of scientific curiosity and strategic manipulation. While some expeditions sought tangible artifacts, many pursued intangible legacies, seeking to canonize Nazi ideology within new mythic sagas. The German fascination with these relics of wisdom emphasizes the complex interplay between ancient spirituality and modern authoritarianism. This dynamic, entrenched in Nazi doctrine, sought validation from esoteric sources to enact their brutal campaigns. Existing records suggest clandestine objectives pursued by covert teams within Himmler's Ahnenerbe. These objectives included the extraction of spiritual energies and the aspiration to transform Nazi Germany into a mystical powerhouse dictating a new world order. Over decades, these missions have entered historical folklore, often distorting initial motivations. The narratives constructed around them have been romanticized and vilified, reflecting a complex legacy that continues to challenge historians and captivate the public.